liberation.
Yes. What's up, fellas? What's up, world? Welcome to Earn Your Liberation right here on Black Power Media. I'm Jared Ball, brother Diallo Kenyatta, Geechee, y'all all in the building. Welcome, everybody. And as you saw there, the second edition is out today. Promo it up.
Hey, I was loving the book until I started thinking. Now I'm hating because, I'm a voice actor. You could have let me do the voiceover, do the Gullah version of the voiceover.
We can always do another one. Hey,
like Barack Obama's little son or something. I don't know who that was.
So this is a brother who is part of my brother-in-law's extended circle. My brother-in-law has this very expansive group of friends that he has been able to maintain since day one, and they're all over the place doing a lot of very interesting things. Brother Coral, who works in marketing and PR at the highest level, did that for me on the humble when, as I was on my way out of the School of Journalism at Morgan State, there was a pocket of money that was provided, like a little clip of money provided to faculty for promoting projects or doing their work or something like that. So I was able to get a little budget to actually hire him to do that. Now, this was back in the original. So this is before you and I started working together. We can definitely put together a part two and have you voice, you're welcome to do whatever. I'm don't let me stop you or anyone from creating promotion. Because as we were just talking about off air, not everybody's open to welcome the conversation or engage the work. So, I'm gonna promo it out as much as possible around here, and and anyone else is welcome to join in. But yeah, so the link is in the show description already. Please do get the second edition. There are some important updates. I'm very proud of the work, and I think I'm excited. So grab it. I'm working on a book launch, hopefully on the 21st of this month. So folks in this area might more. Stay tuned. More to come on that. But anyway, welcome and thanks everybody.
Congratulations on that too.
Congratulations.
No, I appreciate it. Yeah, and I appreciate it. So
I'm only on
chapter
4 and it's hitting hard. So.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah. I did. And as we sent, brother JT. And I can provide one for you as well, Diallo. I hit Geechee with an advanced PDF, and
hey, look, man.
I mean,
it's never going away.
Diallo started the new promo. I mean, you created put your MOBP signals in the air when you hear somebody call it out. Anyway, but so I know we got a couple things to get to. We're going to talk a little bit about SpikeLee's visit to Democracy Now! And I know, and then of course Diallo. I think the highlight is Diallo's critique of our you went back and checked out our interview with JT.
so the topics, they lead into each other. Since we was talking about the Malcolm X of investing, I think the topics lead into each other, so we could start however Pastor Diallo need us to start.
So, do we need to pull stuff up? Did you really clip, gets timestamps or did you just want to talk it through?
Well, I actually, it got better at the end. I was raging in real time. Because, but then it got better when he started talking about other scammers. It got better when he started going in on the financial gurus. But the start was rough, man. And I saw y'all tried to check him, but y'all didn't hold his feet to the fire. Geechee was like, Yeah, but you know, the whole economic system is based on exploitation. He's like, yeah, okay, moving on. You know, he was bobbing, weave. He was bobbing and weaving the criticisms. But I appreciate the dude because very rarely does the black bourgeoisie, does the black establishment get so butt naked and raw with their shit. Because was very accurate and astute of his analysis of these Earn Your Liberation 19 Keys financial gurus in calling them a cult. And he is a minister or imam of a mainstream religion exposing cults. And cults are horrendous. Cults disrupt people's lives. Cults exploit people. But nobody has a body count like the mainstream religions. So he's literally like, you need to come up out the Jehovah's Witness and join the Catholic Church or join the Anglican Church. You need to come out the Nation of Islam and join, Sufism, join the mainstream Islam. You need to come out the Black Hebrew Israelites and become a Zionist. So it was an education it was levels of education. I'm not against financial literacy, but I am against, what these dudes are not really financial literacy. They financial pigeonholers, meaning that they only focus, like they act as if finance is only exist for personal accumulation and personal security. And they ignore every other element of finance and economics. The colonization, exploitation, destruction of ecosystems, the hyper exploitation of the working class, and the devaluation of real property and the inflation and warping of things, that these new products, intellectual property, bitcoins and digital, and they warp the existence of non-real shit. So we need water, soil, fresh and clean air. And in order to get these artificial things, we corrupt, pollute, and degrade the real things we need, necessities for life. And they've created these fictional necessities for life and put all the things we need to live dignified and full lives behind literally a paywall. And it's not just a paywall, it's a paywall with barbed wire, guard, and armed gun towers. So it was very interesting to me, to get serious, to have someone from the status quo. I'm going to try to avoid name calling, because he was on here being mad dignified, talking crazy, but in such a dignified manner. To status quo, I used to call them status quo Negroes, who really believe that all the sacrifice from slave rebellions to anti-lynching armed guards in our communities to stop the lynchings, to the civil rights struggles, to the Black power and Black liberation struggles, all that struggle, all that bloodshed, all that sacrifice was so that they could have a stable income, so that they could have interest accruing accounts, and so that they could have 2 cars and a mod. And so all that struggle was for their individual prosperity and stability. And now that they have their individual prosperity and stability, their personal or familial prosperity and stability, the struggle's over. It's over. And the only time for Black people to come together and march, the only time for Black people to collectively struggle or to collectively sacrifice, is when they themselves, who are the representatives of my ancestors' greatest dreams, when they themselves are inconvenienced. One example I saw that, because Chicago has one of the most well-established Negro status quo affluent Black people. And it was funny because in the time during the quarantine and the quarantine and the pandemic and the George Floyd, and here we had a Laquan McDonald, there was a conflation of uprisings, rebellions, and financial disruptions, from the housing market to small businesses. And you would have black, affluent, black establishment leaders come out and condemn the black masses. We out here rioting. We out here tearing up our own communities. We out here. Y'all need to stop. And standing next to the mayor, affluent blacks, millionaire blacks, standing next to the police superintendent, standing next to the prosecutors, standing next to white and other non-black civic leaders, denouncing collective black outrage, denouncing collective black uprising. And in the same breath, they turned around and told us about how during the pandemic, black businesses were losing more than anybody. So at the same time, they condemned black collective rage and black collective uprising. They felt that they were worthy to call on black collective solidarity in order to help their business, their bottom line, to sustain their income and status. So these black bourgeoisie, these black establishment Negroes, it's like, put all that black shit on the shelf because I'm stable and I'm comfortable. And let's only take that black outrage off the shelf when I, as a member of the black bourgeoisie, of the black establishments, of the black leisure class, when I personally encounter the ravages of racism, the ravages or the instability of the very system I'm a Pied Piper for, of the very capitalist system that I advocate and support for, when I personally encounter, when I try to buy Byron Allen, when I go out and try to buy a major network and racism stops me, Puff Daddy now calling out racism when his liquor wasn't pushed as hard as the white boy's liquor. When Monique couldn't get more than $5 million from Netflix, those establishment Negroes are ready to call on black collective rage, black collective uprising, black collective unity when they personally, their bottom line is affected. But when you talk about the problems that afflict the masses, it's because we buy Jordans. It's because we can't tell the difference between a dividend and we can't tell the difference between a dividend or a derivative. That's why we suffer. So when they suffer, it's because of racism. It's because of discrimination, because of the glass ceiling, because the system want to keep us down. But when the black masses suffer, it's because we buy Jordans and we don't know, understand we're not financial literate. We spend more than we earn. So I do appreciate, I think everybody should go watch JT because one thing I think that whole segment was a serious call for class consciousness and for us to fully integrate class consciousness into any struggle. And I think class consciousness amongst African people who do seek justice, literacy, we need financial freedom. They always like pigeonholing. Fuck freedom, financial freedom. Fuck justice, economic justice. You know, they want to pigeonhole political, social, historical, international justice, liberation. Forget all that. What is my consumption capacity? What is my taste? So I say all that to say is I do appreciate JT because he's like, listen, I represent my class, and the best thing I could do for the black masses is to elevate as many of y'all unworthy ne'er-do-wells into my class. I seek to educate, train, and teach y'all how to integrate into my class. I'm not going to tell you about the failure rate. I'll talk about my successes. I'll talk about everybody who made it, you know, in this system that every decade or more has a complete upheaval. In my neighborhood, where I'm sitting right now, when I moved here, they had dollar houses. They were literally giving land away. And now we got developers and speculators coming here building $800,000 single family homes when you could get a multi-unit building in the same neighborhood for less than $200,000 less than a decade ago. So it's all speculation. Property is just, it's all like in the same lot where you could buy a dollar house, or you could just, they would let you have the land. If you cut the grass and maintain the land for a year, they deed the land over to you. It was worthless. And now all of a sudden, now that white people are moving here, the land all of a sudden has all this value. All these commercial properties are moving in. All this investment is coming in. So anyway, I do appreciate that the class and status quo black bourgeoisie, I do appreciate when they tell us the truth and about their real values, their real intention, and their real point of view. Because you know, for their own personal enrichment, they're willing to let everything else slide.
So before I ask the question, it reminds me of I think I text y'all the conversation that I was having with Chloe and Haley's aunt. And when we talk about, like you said, the success rate is very slim and is more failures than success.
And this is Halle Bailey's.
Bailey, yeah.
So you got another, again, Diallo. Could you call him out on his poor name dropping ability, please?
Anyway,
I'm giving up.
Don't worry about it.
I'm giving up.
This is
chill
pathetic.
Out. But no, so she's a SAG actor, right? I know a bunch of SAG actors, and the SAG actors, the SAG writers, all of them on strike. Most of them don't get paid shit. And then Haley makes it big and becomes the first Black mermaid. And like it's conflated because the argument is we shouldn't have a Black mermaid, and they're arguing about that, but they're not arguing about the success rate of actors making it. And then when they make it, like, you know, I don't even know why we call them success in the first place. But my question is, do you feel like we gave JT enough room or spaces and whatever to self-expose and put things out that we can later use in the future? Or like, how do you feel we did with containing his
Well, I think when you have an individual that is about personal accumulation, personal wealth, that is pro-capitalist, that is pro-status quo, there's never been a time or condition for African people where we didn't have a relevant mass of Black people saying, this is what it is. It is what it is. This is the system we live in. And so you got to make your way as cast down your pail. Even during the height of chattel slavery, during the height of colonialism. And a lot of Black people used to hear a lot of rhetoric. I couldn't be no slave. I wish I would. I wish the pecker would. I wish the white folk would tell me to get in the back of the bus. We got a lot of Black people who benefited from past struggles, who look back at that era and be like, I wish somebody would. And I hope that we will have a future generation and say, look at the condition of Black people in 2023 and look at the condition of Black people in the early 2000s. I wish a cracker would. I wish a white, I would never do. So we've always had a population of Blacks that regardless of the situation that conclude collective struggle, collective uprising, if not a fantasy, is too distant and apart from me for me to give it any real weight. So whether it is, I'm gonna make my cotton quota, I'm gonna make sure I make my cotton quota and not bring no trouble around here, or I'm gonna just keep my head down and let Mr. Charlie do his business and I'm gonna do my business. I don't want no trouble around here. And now that we're in the 2023s, I'm gonna make my money. I'm gonna secure the bag. I don't want no trouble around here. But what they fail to acknowledge is that their capacity to do what they do is a result of collective struggle. There is no individual success under white hegemony, under capitalism. There is no individual Black success that is not born of collective struggle. It's like Kwame Ture said, to drink out of a goddamn water fountain, we had to shed our blood. To sit where we wanted to sit on a free seat on a bus after we paid the same fare as everybody else, we had to share our blood. Even JT acknowledged that to read a goddamn book for basic literacy, we had to shed our blood. To get everything that we as Black people take for granted now, Black people had to shed our blood. So be the beneficiary, to be high on the hog in a situation where African people, gallons, oceans of bloodshed, suffering. There are Black people in prison. There are Black people exiled today who fought for Black individuals to be comfortable. And for you not to feel that you owe any obligation to move the goalpost, for you not to feel any obligation besides, hey, it is what it is. It is what it is. This is what we got. This is the situation we got. And it's disgusting because the people who benefit the most from collective struggle contribute the least. The people who benefit the most from collective struggle contribute the least. And we, as the collective, don't even feel that they're obligated anymore. You gonna ask them, you begging, you gonna ask them for their money. And you can't pretend like I would respect them. I would respect them if it's like, I'm getting mine. Y'all with all that black talk, y'all do y'all. But they don't do that. Because the moment they have a problem, the moment I had said early on in the Bill Cosby thing, I hate Bill Cosby's guts, but I have to respect him because Bill Cosby went around for a decade saying you can't blame racism. Stop blaming the white man. And if you don't steal, if you don't speak Ebonics, if you pull your pants up, you ain't got nothing to fear from this system. And if the system is on you, you did something to provoke it. And I said Bill Cosby didn't call racism. Bill Cosby didn't call discrimination. Bill Cosby didn't call on the people. Bill Cosby's like, my status and my money can get me through it. But when he got his Negro wake-up call and all the status, being America's dad, all the money, the hundreds of millions of dollars weren't able to protect him, he all of a sudden want to rally the people. He want to come with a black lawyer. He want to start talking about racism and discrimination. All the things he denounced poor single mothers for calling out, he's now calling out. Same thing with Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson was like, hey, all that black stuff, good for y'all. The moment the system came, he got his Negro wake-up call. Next thing, he's standing on one side is Al Sharpton, and on the other side is the fruit of Islam. Michael Jackson went and calling a white man a devil. Michael Jackson got black for the first time.
No, the best one is when you can still see the video clips of Malik Zulu Shabazz putting a dashiki on O.J. Simpson. After
right.
that.
And so the bourgeois Negroes have been doing this. There were black people selling us out. And the one thing we can say, the bourgeois Negroes have leveled up.
So
During
I just want to say
that man that preaches cardigan off. You saw that?
I know he had to come up out the
like
car.
I said, during slavery, bourgeois Negroes were selling us out for a cot in the master's basement and for a top hat, a cast-off top hats from the master's clothing collection. Today, they're selling us out for mansions and trips abroad. So the level, the price went up on sellouts. They've leveled up, but their fundamental role that they play in delegitimizing black struggle, delegitimizing oppression, and taking the burden and the blame off of the system, taking the burden and the blame off of our enemies, and placing the burden and the blame on the most vulnerable and the most ravaged members of our community, that has not changed. And like I said, one thing to see a status quo establishment Negro come out and say, hey, y'all on your own, and I can guide you towards investments, but now it's everybody grab what you can, regardless. And I've seen black people get wealth. Yes, black people, this is a very unstable system. You know, you literally have people, and it's more obvious in people like James Brown or other very prominent Negroes. And you see black people that was high on the hog 2 decades ago, and their offspring and grandchildren are struggling. Or you see people who had grandparents who were struggling, and their grandkids are high on the hog. And it's all, but the fundamental, it's all of us doing this shit within a ecosystem and within a structure that was created and directed by our oppressors. So you can talk, if a black financial guru or if a black establishment person doesn't say, hey, having financial stability, having a high rate of income puts you in a better position to resist, to support resistance and engage in resistance, to fight for justice, and to target and subvert the unjust. If they're not talking about that, then what are we talking about? What is the discussion about?
So I mean, just to answer your question, Geechee, I don't think, you know, I'm open to the criticism that and the points Diallo's making, and that and others I've seen have had about. I saw a number of people were you know, actually a couple people brought it to me. You know, you weren't combative enough. And I admit, you know, at least that morning, he didn't upset me. He didn't get my ire up. I never felt the need to engage in any particular way. I fully agree with what Diallo was saying. I just thought that the only part where I felt myself holding back was when he did make that point that Diallo, I think, is referring to, where he said, because I had made the point that the only real financial literacy is to expose the failures of capitalism, and or something to that effect. And he said, which I've heard him say on his show all the time. He said, I was told that, my father, whoever told me that I would be the best. If I was in a communist society, I'd be the best Marxist. If I was in, but we in a capitalist society, so I'm doing, and that's when I was like, all right, but I guess
them the kind of Negroes that would have rang the bell when Harriet came to the plantation. Them the kind of Negroes that would have rang the alarm bell when they saw Harriet snooping around the plantation. It is what it is.
I did feel like what JM is saying, that there are a number of times where I've hosted interviews with people where I disagree, or at least don't fully agree, but it's not, I don't feel like the point of the interview is to engage in that moment in a particular challenge. Is to just let them say what they have to say, and then move on. And that's more or less how I felt. So I don't know. And again, my real point is, and I think really the only thing that gets me really amped up is when people present themselves as radicals and revolutionaries. And he doesn't do that. So I don't really get, but he and his crew are, to your point, Diallo is right. I mean, they are pro-capitalist, they are pro-state, they're not revolutionaries. They're not, he's not going to read my work and engage it. He's not going to do that. I mean, so, but I hear you. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not mad at those who felt like I was too easy with him. I just didn't feel it was necessary in that moment. I offered up my little bit of challenge, let him know we don't agree, and that was it. And offered it, invited him to check out my work. But so that's it. I mean, but like I said, I fully agree with what Diallo was saying in terms of the analysis, and I don't have a problem with, that's it. So I don't.
So I apologize if the rain.
And no, Ricky, I don't think he would. I really don't think he would. I don't think he'll read it. I don't. First of all, I don't get, and this might be unfair. I don't get from JT that he engages academic literature. I don't get the idea that he engages even the data on the reporting on the economic condition of Black people or anyone else. I don't get that from him. What I get from him is the standard practice of the standard business practice of someone who does the financial literacy work that he does. So in other words, I think he's up to date on regulation, on law, or on whatever the business of the day is. I think he clearly can dig into the reports on people. Like, he's not stupid. I don't get that he's engaged with that kind of work. I don't even get that he's engaged with sort of the mainstream literature around race, class, economics. I don't get that from him.
And I don't think that he's about taking down. Someone says, well, I do appreciate him exposing, but I said, have you really progressed if you've gone from a cult to a mainstream religion? Is that an advancement, or is it a lateral move? Which is better?
I mean,
which has more of a negative impact on the community?
So Yipper, what would you like to have seen?
Huh?
Like, you feel cheated
Like
and
the
robbed,
person
and
saying
I
they
dropped
feel
the
cheated.
ball. Like, what? Yeah, well, Yipper, you feel like what is it that I like? Be if you would be more specific. What would you?
Can we look at it
see
like
the argument? Like, so just real quick, like we could have put on a show, and we could have challenged him, and it could have become Yipper says they're joking, but it could have been a back and forth. I just don't always feel like doing that. I don't know. I'm not in the mood for that all the time. So it was like, I don't feel like just arguing to be arguing, but I get Yipper's joke. I get it, Coke. I get it. My bad. Go ahead. I just was curious. Go ahead.
But here's the thing that's interesting. Earn Your Liberation and JT Pocket Watching have a common enemy. But we have a divergent solution. So I'm very much about communing and breaking bread and embracing each other on in what we agree on. But you also have to highlight and draw definite lines. on the divergence is real. And a lot of times in order, because the unification, the unity, the embrace feels so good, we don't want to draw the line. We want to stay in that status of embrace. So we like to focus on where we agree. And that was a very, very, fruitful discussion, talking about the con man and the grifters. But I just think in obligation, if I get an invitation out to speak or to do some work with some religious group, and they just let me come up there, and I don't think they would talk about, I am a staunch atheist and anti-theist. And if the people was like, you had Bro Diallo up here in the temple, you had Bro Diallo up here in the tabernacle, and he was talking about health and wellness, and he was talking about all the things we agree on, and y'all didn't call him out, and he's disparaging our Lord and Savior, and y'all just let that shit slide. The congregation would be justified in saying, what's up with that?
So I don't think it's a common enemy. I do think that we wanted to kind of tactically use him against his own crew. And the reason why I asked that question about what's the JT, not JT the closer, whatever the guy named, Tony the closer, is because I know based off of JT's content that if Earn Your Leisure's link up with him, he gonna rock with them. He just want them to stop doing illegal ways of doing stuff, but he still rock with the overall message because he's trying to coach them in to doing the thing right. So,
well, I just saw the thing about Mike Sims and EYL. I don't know if that's coming anytime soon. They got a whole new, But anyway, yeah. No, go ahead.
No, but I'm saying I don't think JT's an enemy to those people. I think again he's kind of like a Tank was saying to Ryan. He said you got a mole in your camp, right? So you have somebody in your camp that we gonna exploit and we gonna use. But JT's in their camp. He's not an enemy to them at all. And so when the moment is right, you'll see Earn Your Leisure and JT doing some shit in the future. I'm pretty sure.
He mentioned in his new video that is JT, he made a reference to somebody I watch a lot too, CoffeeZilla, and I see him as kind of a black CoffeeZilla. CoffeeZilla is not a revolutionary. He's not out here, he just makes very entertaining and well-informed videos criticizing people who are scamming in the capitalist investment space. And so I don't look at them. I don't know. I just don't get my ire doesn't get raised for that crowd as much. I fully agree with what you're saying. The lines have to be drawn. The clarity has to be made. But in terms of combativeness, I don't know. I mean, and I do want one quick thing I just want to throw out there is that there are differences also between hosting, being on a panel, and being in a debate or giving a lecture. So sometimes I catch myself, I'll speak for myself, when I am cognizant of those roles, even sometimes unconsciously, I fall into those roles. So I know sometimes if I'm hosting, I'm often more reserved in offering my own position and perspective. And so if you put me on a panel with JT, it would probably be very different. If you put me, if competing keynotes or whatever, it'd probably be very different. But anyway, or if he invited me on his show, it would probably be even if I was a guest as opposed to a host, it would be very different. So anyway,
but also real quick, but that's actually was a point that I wanted to make. Like, so I remember when I facilitated the debate with you and Reggie, I felt like I was neutral, but Reggie started saying some silly shit, and then I think he felt like we was teaming up with him. When you had the interview with Lawrence, and it felt like he was like going at Baradaran in a way in which, like, well, we didn't expect her to do anything else. We just using this work. And then obviously when Diallo, I don't know if it was one or two guests, but definitely the brother from Oakland, like the interview turned into combative boom, 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 and the interviewee is it's a wrap. Like they don't even want to talk anymore or whatever. So I feel like there has to be some type of acknowledgement that it's an interview and not necessarily, hey, I got your moment. Or we trying to like
I don't like the myth of neutral journalism. or unbiased positions.
I don't think it's neutral or unbiased though. I don't think it has nothing to do with
that's not
neutrality.
exactly what I'm saying, but
it has nothing to do with neutrality.
Where you're
or
saying
bias.
hey, this is just an interview. This is an opportunity
no,
for
I'm
somebody.
saying there's a difference in roles. And sometimes it's unconscious. I think that's all I'm saying. It's I do think that there is a difference, and I do think, and again, I hear you. But I do feel a kind of way, and maybe this is a flaw. But when I feel like I've invited someone here, when there hasn't been a clear in advance discussion of a debate or disagreement, I'm a little less like, I mean, I don't, especially, if I'm not expecting, I don't know. I just don't, y'all did Abbas wrong though, huh?
You talking about when Diallo, the brother from Oakland, I can't remember the name of the podcast, the group, but
Hella Black podcast?
Yeah, Hella Black, yeah. But also Diallo, if you remember your debate with the Temple dude, I guess he was at Temple or wherever, Stanford, like the moderators in that moment, the way in which they show up in y'all debate is going to be different than if that person was debating as well. So there's just a distinction. I'm not saying that you have to be neutral or unbiased or biased or whatever. It's just like, it's just a different tone of the engagement at the time, which you still can. Go ahead.
I just think that these other groups are not apologetic. They're aggressive and open with their shit. Where we want to be fair and neutral. Fuck fairness. Fuck giving them an opportunity. The integrationists have had more than a century. They have not only had more than a century of their own movement, the integrationists have been first in line to receive all of the concessions from every other Black struggle, from guerrilla uprisings and anti-colonial movements to civil rights marches and urban rebellions here in the United States. These people have been up front when it came time to collect the spoils of the struggle, and they go all the way to the back of the line when it comes time to sacrifice and contribute to the struggle. So at this 2023, when the people, the integrationists, the status quo, the capitalist Blacks have been upfront, and the theocratic, the religious people have been upfront, unapologetic, I think their time is done. Their time is done. And I think that the Black masses, in many ways, understand their time is done. And we're not offering any real staunch alternative in terms of we try to act like there's common ground, or we try to act like, well, they have something to say.
But sometimes there is common ground. You just acknowledged that it was common ground. So sometimes there is common ground. So for instance,
no, there is, and let me tell you why. Let me tell you what the issue is. Like I said, or like Kwame Ture said, a half truth is more dangerous than a full lie. So when you have a brother that'll come up in a glittering kufi with the glittering galaxy kufi, who's a very obvious cult leader, who's trying to develop a cult of personality around himself, a caricature of a Black leader, versus a brother who will sit there in a practical setting with a practical shirt and sit there and speak calmly and academically. And they're both, so a lot of times these practical, as he called himself, pragmatic Negroes, and I'm not saying Negroes to insult him, but I'm saying Negroes because that whole cast down your pale, that's Booker T. Washington.
But just to be clear, but Kwame Ture worked with Farrakhan. He advocated working with Jesse.
And look how it played out.
Okay,
and look how it played out.
I'm just saying,
are we going to learn from their mistakes?
But you referenced.
Are we going to learn from their mistakes, or are we going to duplicate their mistakes? Are we going to learn from their mistakes?
First of all, I was only bringing that up. I'm not. So first of all, I'm not working with JT. I don't advocate JT's argument.
So right.
I clarified some distinguishes. I only brought that up because you referenced Kwame Ture to defend your point without acknowledging that up until the day he died, without acknowledging to the day he died, he was advocating a Black United Front working with Black folks that I find very difficult to understand.
Or we have lessons to learn. I'm not down.
Maybe we can acknowledge. Maybe we can acknowledge that. maybe we can acknowledge that when you suggested that we have a common enemy, I'm telling you we don't have a common enemy. We should acknowledge that. And two, if you're talking to a Christian who you normally talk to versus one who politically agrees with you, to me, it seems like you should have a different conversation with the two people. Because if the Christian who is agreeing with half of the shit that you're saying versus the Christian who is just adamant or not listening to, I feel like you're wasting your time, like giving them the same preach or giving them the
I'm
same.
not. Nope.
Okay.
Ain't no such thing as halfway crooks. I co-host a show with a Christian, the Rational Radical Show, and he don't give me no quarter. I don't give him no quarter. You know, because I mean, black people, we gotta decide. Are we gonna ride this fucking train off the
right? But you and Josephus
are
not. But you have very rational conversations. You're not beefing. You're not arguing with each other. You're not. You meet with him every week or every 2 weeks or whatever.
Yeah.
So all we did was have one discussion with JT, lay out some common ground and some clear differences, and that's it.
I mean,
so
but close. I mean, the way Jared rapped that, we might as well go to somebody that we all don't like, SpikeLee, because that's pretty much what it is.
Oh, now this and can we? I think we need to get. I'm getting an echo. Is that you, Diallo? I think.
Anyway. Oh, let me get my headphones.
There we go.
But I get I'm a little under. I don't feel well, but every time I take a day off, y'all replace me with a status quo.
We try, and then we had a whole meeting out here in the tree-lined streets to see if we could, what we were going to. We met out here
tree-lined streets
to see if we was going to be able to. But Diallo, you're a hard act to replace, man. I mean, the reality is, we will keep trying, but I mean, it's you difficult act to replace, and but I will say this:
2 people won't replace you. JT not gonna replace you, and SpikeLee. So you in the clear with that.
SpikeLee. So first of all, I want to start here though. If I could I want to make two because the clip we're airing ran on Democracy Now. And I don't want to pass the opportunity to throw appropriate levels of shade at a formerly powerful outlet that if you go back, as I remember doing, and read the early publications from Amy Goodman, she was quick to praise, as she wrote in her first book, the Pan-Africanists and people like Samari Marksman and others in the New York area that helped build Democracy Now! And its audience and its politics. Where they have gone to this day, I don't watch regularly at all, if much at all, really. So when I saw that they hosted this next clip, are we gonna watch it? Are we gonna play any of it? Are we gonna? I have plenty of notes.
Yeah, I got plenty of notes. I think it's pretty long to play it all, but
it is long. Yeah,
we can play some clips. I don't know if did you take any timestamps down?
I didn't take timestamps. I just took notes. But what I will do is I mean, what we look. I just played
the acclaimed filmmaker.
The acclaimed filmmaker, SpikeLee
address. He talked about the making of his 1992 film.
Oh, we saw that they hosted the King Arthur. So real quick, I'm not going to watch. We saw that they hosted EYL on Democracy Now! And I'll only just say, as Dr. Burroughs tweeted at them, and I stand by, I'm not going to watch the interview. There's zero chance their interview is better than what Dr. Burroughs and I did. So I'll just leave it at that. And if anybody suggests anything that I've gotten any of that wrong, please send me timestamps and transcripts. But anyway.
In the power of education. Just days after this event, Spike Lee's father, the bassist and composer Bill Lee, died at the age of 94 at his home in Brooklyn. Bill Lee had a prolific musical career, performing with legendary artists including Harry Belafonte,
and rest in
Aretha
power to
Franklin,
Bill Lee.
Odetta,
I'm not,
John Lee Hooker, and Bob Dylan.
No doubt. Respect,
he also wrote the scores to many of his sons.
His music
Spike
is better
Lee's
than his son's films,
including "Do the Right Thing," "Mo Better Blues." This is Spike Lee speaking last Friday.
I'm not a
keynote speaker, coming to say what I got to say, and
That's when he should have sat down right there.
Yeah, he should have just stopped right there. And in fact, let's do him a favor. Let's just stop him right there. Let's just stop him right there. let's just leave him right there for a second. Oh, whoops, my bad.
Shorty was horrible on the mic.
Yo. Okay. Yeah, let's just leave it right there. So the first thing that he says, well, I'll go quickly through my notes and then we can come back. I'll let it, and then so I don't take up too much time from everybody. But first thing he says is the autobiography of Malcolm X is important. So he goes back to reinscribing all of the, and with all of the new discussion, all the work and all the problems with that and all the flaws, he just leaves it at that. So it reinscribes. Now, to me, it is somewhat still of a step above claiming Marable's book, for instance, but he doesn't. He just leaves it. He just talks about the power of the autobiography, not Malcolm's work. Oh, I thought Do the Right Thing, School Days. I appreciate those films. I'm not gonna lie. I do appreciate those films. There's a lot of problems with them, and I'll come back to
Mary Baraka's critique of all of those.
Baraka's critique. In fact, I
hated Spike Lee.
Oh, he did. I reached out to Alombe Breath's foundation because I couldn't find. I used to have the audio from the legendary. I'm very upset I can't find it, and I asked him if he has it. And apparently they do still have it. I'm going to try to get it, and if I can get it, we're going to do a whole series of discussions around it. But there's this classic panel just before the film came out in '92, I believe, that featured Baraka, John Henrik Clark, Alombe Brath was moderating, and Dhoruba bin Wahad. That was the panel. It was incredible. And they don't all agree, by the way. Clark and Dhoruba didn't agree. There was it was fascinating. But the point, to your point, Baraka made this brilliant summary dismissal of Do the Right Thing, which was Mookie shows you who he is at the end of the movie when the white man, after he throws the trash can through the thing and starts the uprising, Radio Raheem is killed for it. Mookie, representing the black bourgeoisie, starts the problem, but to Diallo's point from earlier, benefits from all the problems caused by coming back the next day to get the money from the white man that the white man literally throws on the ground, and Spike Lee picks it up and walks away. And that's supposed to be some sort of, so I'm happy to come back to all of that. But just real quick, let me just run through this real quick. And it won't take me less than 2 minutes here. I wrote a note here that Spike gives the authority of blackness to whites as he eases them with no politics. So he does all the things, the black Brooklyn, black Harlem, he's black, but no politics. So the white audience in Democracy Now! Loves that. He mentions the Norman Jewison con, which I'm happy to come back to. We can, he mentions that. He tells the lives of Malcolm, because he says something about telling the lives of Malcolm in his movie that he couldn't do. He needed as much time as possible in the film because he has to tell all the lives of Malcolm. But except of course, the film leaves out all the radical life of Malcolm, all the international life of Malcolm. So he does exactly in the film what he does in this speech. He says, quote, he says he had a vision of Malcolm coming to him, referencing self-determination and self-reliance, by which he meant Black capitalism, because he said he had the vision of Malcolm coming to him when he ran out of money from Warner and needed more money. So Malcolm comes and he says self-determination, self-reliance. So what does he do? Goes to Bill Cosby, first Oprah. Name out his mouth, Magic Johnson.
Almost forgot Oprah.
Michael Jordan. And then he had to come back to remember Oprah.
Magic Johnson.
All to get Warner Brothers to finance the rest of the movie, always the goal of Black capitalism. So that's in other words, Black capitalists, all they want to do is present themselves, build themselves up to the point where they can get the real money from the whites.
Yeah, that's what they didn't give him enough. That was just just to get the white money.
And then he says at the end of that,
once the white money.
But once the black money came in, Warner came back and finished with the round of funding needed to actually finish the film. So once he proved himself, built himself up big enough with the black capitalists, the white money came back in to finish the project. The entire speech is about himself, the film, the rich Negroes who funded him, and just like the movie, there is no room or time for Malcolm as he was or the politics that made him a threat and an inspiration. So his speech does exactly what the movie does.
But
you get all of this buildup, and then by the time you get to the point where Malcolm should be seen as the radical threat that he was, he's assassinated, credits roll, burn the flag with Nelson Mandela, talk about I am Malcolm X. And then the very last thing, and then is that there's nothing about Malcolm, nothing about the condition today of Malcolm's community. He only mentions Betty Shabazz because she created for him one of the best scenes
his daughter
in the
with
film.
his daughter in the audience. His daughter was in the audience.
His daughter in the audience. And then there he literally talks more about Al Pacino than Malcolm X, praising Al Pacino's chops than he does about Malcolm X, because Malcolm and his politics and the movement and the condition of his people is irrelevant to Spike Lee. All right, that's it. Go ahead.
And Oliver Stone. But so did you catch the part when he was saying that they took the 4-hour video to Warner Brothers and they really wanted to tell a full picture, right? So maybe he's claiming that if they would approve 4 hours, then we would have get more.
So that's not how I heard it. So I heard him, the way I heard him telling that was the way I hear filmmakers always talk about, we give the studio more knowing they're going to cut it so that I can get the video I want actually in. So I actually heard him, because when he said he called Oliver Stone and said, how long is your movie of JFK? Because he was comparing the length of the films. JFK, which by the way, crushes Malcolm X as a film, as a quality of film, destroys Malcolm X. He should not have acknowledged JFK and Malcolm X coming out as films in the same era or same year, because it's a complete obliteration and it's a complete obliteration of and shows what could have been done had Spike taken Malcolm as seriously as Oliver Stone took JFK. But anyway, the only reason, but he would not have been able to make that film. But anyway, so that's what I heard him saying, that I gave him a 4-hour film knowing they were going to cut it down. So I knew that they would cut, and he was apparently happy with what they cut there. That's at least how I heard what he was saying.
So running down a couple for me, like I don't like the fact of how he positioned himself to be antagonistic with these white boys, and he wrestled Malcolm story away from the white boys, but he don't talk anything about his struggle with Brath and Baraka. I think that
they don't matter.
Yeah, I think that's pretty shitty. And then this idea of like the white boys and the all the people who had the film before and had the book and all these things, and they said that pretty much if they produced it, you would have got the same product with him producing it. And it's the same thing with the 5 Bloods that Oliver Stone gave to him. It's like they are bringing him in to be the closer for white people, right? They're gonna do the same script, the same story, they're gonna land the same plane, but he's gonna be on it to boast about how black he was and how, you know, he did this for the culture or whatever. So I felt like
they for the culture. Man, you know, I moved to New York in 1992, and that was when Malcolm X had premiered, and I went to the very first showing of X in Brooklyn, New York, where the very first showing, and it was in a small theater, and I stood behind a velvet rope for like 4 hours, a line across the block, right there on 7th Avenue in Flatbush. And I'm like, man, I'm a part of something, this whole New York City, NYC, progressive era, the Black Books movement. You know, Dr. Ben and Dr. Clark were still around. In fact, that later that week, I went to Medgar Evers College to a Dr. Ben Yakinen fundraiser and speech. And I'm like, wow, you know, this is where it's at, right? And at that time, you had 40 Acres and a Mule studio and gift shop. You had Sticks and Stones Art Collective. You had the Cocoa Bar, which was the first Black-owned internet cafe, because we had internet cafes back in 92. And it was Alice Walker's daughter and her partner. They opened, and it was this section in and right when Biggie Smalls was coming out. And those Negroes were like, as they always say, there's some corny ass shirt going around, was like, I am my ancestors' greatest aspirations. Anybody see?
I remember that. And they used to have versions of it where they would have what was it like? It was a picture, almost a version of that classic Harlem Jazz picture, but it was like black dentists or doctors or something like that. And it was like, or it was a picture of a grad school of a doctor of a medical school, something like that.
Or I'm not my ancestors. You can get these hands too.
All that beautiful blackness was nothing but a germ seed for gentrification. All those in that area was black, classic Brooklyn.
The Spike Lee movie. Y'all, some of you are completely, Rick and Rob are completely out of your minds when it comes to
all
movies.
I'm saying is, I think it's very telling how Spike Lee was like, the whole point in rallying the black elites together was to seduce white investment, was to bring about white investment. He didn't just do that with the movie. He did.
I think
that
his
with
PTSD might be kicking. My bad.
Community.
What? I'm sorry, but let's.
My bad.
No, I guess since we there, like I feel like Oliver Stone. There's an interview with him and Spike Lee talking about how he felt like he couldn't get the job done, so he gave the film to Spike Lee, and so again, Spike Lee is looking.
No.
Five Bloods is trash. I don't care what
you mean
anybody
Five Bloods?
says.
I thought we still talking about X.
No. Well,
That
I'm gonna
too.
go back to X. I'm gonna go back to X, but because they're talking about this Black Vietnam in the interview, Oliver Stone was saying how he pretty much said like the movie is farce, is not true, and although it's not true, you make it look good, and it doesn't have to be realistic. We just have to make it look good. So in the interview, he's saying this, and so again, you are watching Oliver Stone, maybe in line with the U.S. Government and the state, showing you that they can use this black man to make you celebrate U.S. imperialism or celebrate U.S. hegemony, because a black man is putting it, and he's telling the story, like the half story, the not even true story of the Black Vietnam vets. Because there's also Black Vietnam vets who were like, I don't want to fucking be over there. We shouldn't be over there. And there's other people who oppose the war. So again, like he did in the Spike Lee video, in Malcolm X video, I think he would have done much better talking about the opposition. There was opposition to the movie. They said, I don't want Spike to do nothing about Malcolm X. And then other people said, well, if he does it, I need him to make sure he covered these things. And I felt like it would have been way more beneficial to kind of have that conversation as opposed to I was struggling with the whites to tell this revolutionary story.
Look, Barack. So everybody, there's zero. First of all, I think there's zero chance you can conclude that Malcolm X is a good film if you have any understanding of the history of how the film was made, if you have any understanding of the critiques that were made about the film. So perhaps we're being a little unfair in not laying out a full critique of that film, because I wasn't necessarily thinking that was the plan for today. I'm happy to come back and do that. My simple one is that it takes 90 minutes before you see Malcolm X as Malcolm X in a movie about Malcolm X.
Before we do that, I got to go back and I ain't seen it since that premiere, since the Brooklyn premiere. Yeah. I haven't been able to sit through that film.
But
I sat through it that one time. I've never. So that's what 30 years.
But if you go back. Yeah, but if you go back and even look and go back to that initial panel I talked about, to some of the arguments of the day, some of you may be, I don't know the age of some of our guests here today, but to what extent they looked into this then, or maybe remember. But you have to remember what was being said there. When Spike Lee in this most recent thing on Democracy Now! Brings up the Norman Jewison thing, he's doing that as was called out back in the day, because he did just what Diallo was saying at the beginning of our show today. He raised the black nationalist flag of race so that he could get the film away from the white boy, and then made a film that only a white boy could make or would want to see. In other words,
and
go ahead.
Can we talk about Denzel?
We can. And
his Christian nationalism, where he talked about he became Malcolm X and he got off the swine and he learned to play. I don't know why.
That's what Spike said.
Been giving Denzel a pass. Denzel is an evangelical fundamentalist Christian and has been promoting evangelical fundamentalist Christianity
Wow.
across the Black community for as long as he's been famous. And so I really
in US
doubt
Man, I didn't even catch that. I just thought he was
fascist, this Christian nationalist evoked Malcolm X.
I didn't know he was doing that. I just thought, yeah, go ahead. Mhm.
Me and Denzel got one other thing in common besides being handsome and loved by the ladies. He has also never watched that movie. He was interviewed just recently, and they were like, "Oh, we want to play a clip from Malcolm X," and he's like, "I ain't seen that shit. I don't watch that shit." Denzel don't even claim it. Yeah, I like you said, we could go into this shit, but yeah, he's like, I haven't seen that movie.
I thought he did a remarkable job. I thought the acting was great. I thought he did a wonderful job acting, and that was it. And then the politics was removed from the film. The film, all of the budget.
So what's the point?
I hear you.
What's the point? You could do a fictional character.
Yeah, he also played Steve Biko in a film that was not really about Biko, and he raised Biko's politics. It was about the white boy that wrote the book. Which the film was
hollowing out our ancestors. That ain't
here's
right.
His question, Diallo. I mean, here's his question, Jared. So, in line with that Biko film, the reason why Spike Lee was saying that he's taking on this film is because they already shitted on one of our ancestors with Cry for Freedom. So it's my job to make sure that I speak for my ancestors with the Malcolm X. So with that said, because that was one of Spike's, that's what he was saying. With that said, watching both of those films, I guess I don't know if you want to compare shit to shit, but did he do better than the white boy did?
It's been a very long time since I saw Cry Freedom, but my short answer would be no, because again, you get more of Malcolm X's internationalism in terms of Hollywood films in Will Smith's Ali, in Mario Van Peebles' portrayal in that 5-minute scene than you do in all of Spike Lee's film. You get a presentation of Malcolm X that does what Peniel Joseph did to Malcolm in literature, that says he is an American, hero with the burning of the American flag into an X and all that kind of stuff. And I am Malcolm X and all this other kind of stuff that he stole. I forgot who they said he stole that as a trope from some other filmmaker. But and then you get what we see, even some in the comments are confused into thinking that this is a powerful film about a powerful figure, but it's meant to do what has been done posthumously to Malcolm and many others, which is to rebrand Malcolm as somebody that would be not threatening and someone acceptable for audiences to pick up. And the version you get is, because all he does is walk away from the Nation of Islam, basically, and then get himself killed. It's like there's no real discussion of Malcolm and his politics or the threat that he became. So,
So one of the things that, like, I guess I didn't know how petty Spike Lee was towards Baraka and the rest of them, but I mean, he pretty much said that I'm not gonna let these Hotep Negroes stop my bag, and he said I'm still gonna take their $7 when they come to the movie. I didn't know they was beefing like that.
I mean, when you listen to that panel. And I've listened to it so many times that it's I mean, I used to listen to it all the time. It was such a powerful conversation. And what they do outline, because the panel took place just before the film came out. So they were talking about how they had seen early scripts. They talked about the history of the script writing, the one that Baldwin had originally written and then got scrapped. They talk about all of that. And talk about, again, the politics of framing through script writing and scene selection, what we were going to get in the film. So and Baraka, Dhoruba, Clark, Ilambe, all of them made the point in one way or another that Spike wasn't interested in dealing with them, or Spike was only interested in keeping them at arm's length and was condemning them and saying, like, oh, here they go again, making me, I got to sit down with Baraka again. I got to sit down and talk to somebody else again, or whatever. It was he was so clear And it was that whole thing of don't mess with me, let me do my thing. I'm an artist. And remember what they also said when they quoted Warner Brothers. They brought out that clip and quoted Warner Brothers as saying, we want to market, we want to brand Malcolm X as we do Batman and The Simpsons. So Warner Brothers was very clear. We're going to make this a Well, they only compared it to their own other products.
Right. But the X cap back.
All of that.
So,
all of that.
So let me read a few things from Baraka's word. I want you,
Chirac.
In a second. Yeah, we're gonna mention
y'all let him get away with that.
No, that's your people. That's your shit. That's your shit. But listen, I want to read a couple because there was a lot of
my cousin's in that movie.
Yeah. Here go this name drop. See him name drop. But here go this prophetic statements that Baraka was making even before the movie was coming out. And I want the chat and Diallo and Jared to kind of respond to some of it. But he talked about, him and Brav talked about, she's got to have it, made Black women struggle for equal rights look like nymphomania. And school days turned Black colleges into brown-skinned animal houses, reducing Black issues. And then people asked them, hey, why are you, Baraka, why are you all on Spike Lee's back? And he was like, Spike Lee is a retrograde movement, a part of a retrograde movement in this country. And Braff was just talking about how they was urging them not to allow him to do it because of Do the Right Thing and all these other movies that he did was pretty much trash and exploiting Black people. So when you think about the critiques and all the stuff that was laid out before, and then he literally did what I don't know if they saw the film. I doubt they saw the film, but maybe they read the autobiography. But they literally laid out what he was going to do. And it seems like their critiques age really well. His critiques didn't. I mean, his shit didn't age really well. So is he there today or a couple of days ago doing a cleanup job and putting people back to sleep? Is that what that was his goal for his interview with Democracy Now? Because there's a level of consciousness that's rising with people on Malcolm X, and is Spike Lee set out there to put people back to sleep, or what do you think?
I mean, go ahead, Diallo. Go ahead. This is cool. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think that individuals like Spike Lee make Blackness palatable for the mainstream, and they are personally rewarded for that. There's enough danger, there's enough edginess, there's enough sass within his Blackness of white folks, and enough jive talk, but it's hollow, it's cosmetic, it's surface. So Spike Lee takes the aesthetic of Black consciousness, Black militancy, Black culture, and markets it to a larger audience. And that is great for him personally, for his personal profit, but it is costly to the culture and to the community as a whole, because there is a effect where he extracts from our culture, waters it down, hollows it out, puts it on white platforms, and then the white mainstream media sells it back to the Black masses. And so we're literally we're consuming a regurgitated, denurtured version of our own culture. And it's not just in movies, it's in music, it's in fashion. And it's so that Black people can say, yeah, I'm oppressed and all that, but we got a Malcolm X movie, so it can't be that bad. We got Black people in prominent position. We got a Black man owning a team. And like I was saying earlier, at the same time, they don't just do this type of shit in a cultural level. It translates onto a material, social, economic level. Individuals like Spike Lee and Jay-Z calling out Marcy, calling Brooklyn, they are the ones who spearheaded gentrification and Black displacement. So it goes beyond just our opinions on works of art and impacts our very ability to reproduce and sustain ourselves. Because Spike Lee, when they created that little cultural sphere and started bringing in white money and white tourism and white people like, yeah, and white boys, I can give me a Malcolm X cap. I really love Denzel and Training Day. He came right after Malcolm, and Much Ado About Nothing. It's all in the same box. Shit that is essential for our survival becomes a product to be marketed and sold. So individuals like from Jay-Z to Spike Lee, who watered down and market black culture, black militancy, black consciousness to the masses, and then the mainstream sells it back to us, and we start accepting a hollowed out version. Then they come in with displacement and oppression. This is the colonial or neo-colonial methodology, using black folks, using black people to advance the agendas of the white oppressors.
I don't think he
and
means
making it look militant.
I don't think Diallo means spearhead in the sense of starting gentrification. I think he means being the point used to thrust it through. That's
then what?
That's to aid.
Listen,
and in
listen.
which case he's exactly right.
If you look at Jay-Z and Marcy right now, there are tours in Marcy projects. It is Jay-Z and Spike Lee that put Black Brooklyn, Black New York, son, Nostrand Ave, Flatbush, Fulton Ave, who put that consciousness into the white mainstream. Crooklyn, and in the movies where suburban white kids could go to a Spike Lee movie and drive into the Spike Lee movie in Arkansas or Nebraska, listening to Jay-Z as they drive to the suburban metroplex to watch a Spike Lee movie, and them the same crackers is like, hey, yo, I'm gonna go on over
there
here.
are tours.
I'm moving to Brooklyn. Yes, there are Marcy tours, all white people. And the Marcy Projects is still there, still impoverished with, no matter how many times Jay-Z shout out Marcy, he ain't put shit into Marcy.
He brought him a crypto
he's done for Brooklyn,
Bitcoin
the only
class.
thing he's done for Brooklyn is displace black people and the black culture of Brooklyn. Displace black people, price out black people for their own personal profit. And Spike Lee did it too. And Spike Lee, that area, one of the most first gentrified areas was the areas where they had all those black businesses of all those cultural icons, and now they're all leaving. Spike Lee has reopened 40 Acres in the Muse, but Moshood and all that shit, it's all was where white folks got their first
I used to have Moshood
in Brooklyn.
So
yeah,
so
that's gone. It's gone.
Jared,
it was right up the block from Spike Lee's joint. Moshood is gone.
So Jared, you watched and listened to the panel. You know the efforts before the movie came out. Spike Lee once said that there are 30 million black people in this country, and he thinks that more of them on his side than Baraka's side. What is Spike doing at Democracy Now? Like, what's his goal?
But he's right. I mean, but the point is, but
Right.
again, that's Peniel Joseph's argument about the popularity of mainstream civil rights leaders over Stokely Carmichael, as he would say. But the argument isn't. But as I used to joke, I mean, Britney Spears sold more records than Aretha Franklin. So what are we saying? Like, what is, so the point, the point is, what makes anyone or anything or any idea more popular than the other? Is it that it's right? No, often that's not the case. It's because it's been promoted, propagated by a well-organized tiny minority who exist as a tiny minority and survive by their ability to project their interests and magnify their interests. So of course more people agree with him than Baraka, because most people don't know who Baraka is and don't understand his argument or his politics, whereas Spike Lee is welcomed and easily promoted by places like Democracy Now! That are ever increasingly more conservative and right-wing, who are well-funded, more powerful white entities who want this version of blackness to be projected. That's why Warner Brothers was willing to finish off the film for him, for Spike, that is. That's why he's able to have, and again, to Diallo's point, he only gets upset when he's not able to use that side entrance into to go see the Knicks. that's the only time he starts raising his blackness, when he needs to get a film from Norman Jewison. But when black people to his left, legends, I mean, again, what I was always struck by, and I'm still struck by, think about the perspective of a Spike Lee and the gall of a Spike Lee to, in the early 90s, tell Dhoruba, Baraka, Elambe Brath, and now I'm forgetting the fourth person. Who was the fourth? Dr. Clark. Imagine telling them, nah, Dr. Clark, who had Malcolm on his living room floor putting the OAAU together. Imagine telling him, I don't need your input on this script. I don't need your input on this project because I got this. In fact, stay out of the way. In fact, he wrote a whole thing condemning all of them. And then he, in his whole, the making of Malcolm or something like that, didn't he do a whole,
he also got Cornel West to go at them. Y'all remember that? The black demagogues? Yeah.
Well, I remember he did the whole in Race Matters, Malcolm X was a nihilist.
Right.
So to follow up then, Jared, so because I get a lot of
Spike
inboxes.
Lee did, I'm sorry, just quickly, Spike Lee did know Dr. Clark, and they were in fact in touch with one another. And
Professor William Mackey was there. They were all
this era. Be clear, this is a willful, conscious choice that Spike made to walk away from them, knowing he wouldn't get his Warner Brothers film made if he stayed with them, if they had too much of an impact on the script. So he made his right choice as far as his career was concerned, but it was a willful, conscious decision. He was not some ignorant, whoops, I didn't know who these folks were.
So again, let me ask this follow-up. So I'm getting multiple people from home, like inboxing me, texting me because of the Little Mermaid shit, right? And they said, man, Geechee, you always hating and nothing is good enough and blah, 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 blah. So when you look at the Spike response to this, and then now you fast forward to Shaka King, Ryan Coogler, and Fred Hampton, right? Because Braff was just asking that, hey, Spike, before you do this film, why don't you dive deep into his life and study and learn from these people? And Shaka King and Ryan Coogler supposedly did that with Fred Hampton, his son. His wife.
Thought I read that Shaka King said he didn't know anything about Fred Hampton until he got assigned to the movie or something like that. I thought he was very late to that.
No, he did say that, but he also included the son and the wife in his production. So, okay, now if we're always complaining about something and we got reason to complain with Malcolm X and Spike Lee, how do you then respond to now? Okay, well, his son even said it was good. His son even approved it. The wife approved it. So how can y'all say?
Look, I'm on the record. Fred Hampton Jr. was here, and we've had a couple of discussions on his platform. We had one here, and we just don't agree. I mean, his argument and his crew is that as whatever the flaws of the film are, organizing can be done with it, points can be made using it, and Raz Leon just hit me up on Instagram the other day, regurgitating that, and Raz, all due respect, we just don't agree, and I think that there's zero data. There's no data to support. It does. Just real quick, there's zero data to support the argument that he and others continue to make about if you just present the ideas, then people will come to them. Because in other words, going back to this point about Malcolm and Spike Lee, 30 years later, we would have had a Malcolm X styled revolution at this point if films were if films were to have the impact on their audiences that some of these folks claim. The opposite is true. They have a lulling effect. But yeah, anyway, go ahead, Diallo.
Yeah, I ain't seen Judas and the Black Messiah, because just to refer to Fred Hampton as a Messiah, is
well,
enough for me to know.
Well, they were trying to be slick, making reference to the COINTELPRO document where the FBI was saying we don't want another Black Messiah. So where Fred Hampton was named as that.
All right, I know the reference.
So I know you. I'm there. So. But to your point, I think you're right that they're trying to do the Messiah labeling in the popular context. And then when someone like me or you raises that critique, they can come back and say, no, this is a reference to the COINTELPRO thing. Right. But you didn't put COINTELPRO in the movie because you did what Jonathan Eig did in his new book on Dr. King. You reduce where he literally doesn't mention COINTELPRO at all, and reduces the FBI involvement around Dr. King, just as this movie does to Fred Hampton, as the machinations of a lost and individual J. Edgar Hoover. Not anything institutional, state-driven, or anything like that. It's just this one lunatic went too far, and everybody else would have been more, the rest of the agency, the rest of the state was more or less cool, or certainly not as bad. But so Judas does the same thing as Eeg does, and then Malcolm's Spike Lee's Malcolm more or less does the same thing too, because you get very little of, or none really, of Malcolm X's politics, what made him a threat, what made him a danger, what would have inspired him to become the target of what would eventually be called the COINTELPRO, all of those things. You don't get it, it's all left vague so that you can sell and make a movie. And then you can come back years later and give a speech on Democracy Now! Where you make no reference to those politics. You don't have to make a reference to the fact that, as Diallo and others have been pointing out, even in Spike's own city, Black communities are destroyed, decimated, removed, et cetera, and so forth, continue to be exploited. He doesn't have to talk about any of that, and can then only, again, raise Betty Shabazz's name to say that she helped produce give him a great idea for a scene. It's pathetic.
I just think it's like frustrating for people to, because all the time when you talk about movie and people talk about history and politics, because even Shaka King, when he was here and they had this screening for people in Costa Rica and we had a conversation, the question I asked him, he immediately said, "Oh, well, yeah, I don't know anything about politics. I'm not into politics." And nobody can be like, "Well, why the fuck you make a movie about a major political figure? Like, that doesn't make no logical sense." But the same thing with Malcolm X movie. They're saying like Jewison, had he made the film, the shit would have landed the same way. Everything would have been the exact same if he still had it. But Spike doing it again, it just gives this laud of oh my gosh, this blackness, and then the X hats. And then this story today.
Well, but the X hats and stuff came before, like all of that had actually started to emerge before the film. So I actually, the way I've always thought of it was that the film was part of the state's response to the rise of the consciousness. Yeah. So they were like, oh, no, we're not going to let them go off on that. Then they could come back. And remember when Tom Hanks went on, I think was it Tom Hanks or was it another one when he went on David Letterman with a Y hat on? And Letterman said, "Well, why are you wearing a hat with the letter Y on it?" And he said, "Well, everybody's running around with an X on their hat lately, so I figured I'd just throw a Y on it." Something like that. Do you all remember? Does that ring a bell for anybody?
Nice.
All right, I have to look for it. Maybe someone in the chat remembers that, but I have to go anyway. Go ahead. Yeah.
But again, like, what is he doing? What is he doing now, and why to present this idea of the Black capitalist or savior came and they made this thing happen, right? And then like the pictures of Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson with their X hats, they're popping up again. Like they're both, they pretty much saved the film. And he said, "I made them compete. I told Michael that Magic gave me this much and he gave me more." And it's like, and again, all I'm thinking about is Craig Hodges. I'm like, okay, well, Craig Hodges asked Michael to do some shit.
Well, what I was thinking was when he said he ran to get the check from Bill Cosby and didn't even go in, just grabbed the check at the doorway. The first thought I had was, well, what was happening on the other side of that door that didn't want to see?
Listen.
Some passed out women, some women just laid out on the floor. Spike did.
I'm just
in there.
Listen, I'm gonna just tell you, like not recently, several years ago, I've had 3 different women that I know that work at colleges to bring in speakers that all said they had the similar uncomfortable experience with Spike Lee. So I'm pretty sure there's a reason why Spike Lee went to Bill Cosby house. So yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm gonna get more cease and desist letters.
I was gonna say.
Hey, he gonna have to talk to them people. I'm just saying.
Allegedly. You heard allegedly that allegedly.
Yeah,
but,
so
yikes. Actually, one of my colleagues worked with him on, one of my former colleagues worked with him on Do the Right Thing, and she never shared any negative experiences as far as I can remember. In fact, I think she said she really enjoyed the experience, but you know what, maybe I'll reach out and get a refreshment on the memories.
Well, like, was she like a college student though? at that time? Age?
She'd have been younger. Yeah, she'd have been
Uh,
probably. I mean, she's roughly my age, so she'd have been whatever that age would have been. You know.
Well, I just say, once your enemy gets into your culture, as Del Jones said, once your enemy gets into your culture, it's all Mickey Mouse. He would always say that 90% of all war and conflicts are cultural. And you know, and even I see in the comments, some people are like asserting, "Oh, it's just movies. It's just this." The cultural assault, the cultural co-optation, is just as necessary for the maintaining of colonial and imperialist and capitalist status quo as the military is. As it is. And so whenever we're engaged with the cultural products, I don't give a damn if it's a biography of a black icon or a black mermaid, which got you and Dr. Umar are high-fiving each other, you know, which I didn't think.
first of all, your ass is the one talk about you agree with Umar in the chat.
Who?
Do you?
What?
Jared, do we need to put
On
receipts?
that, I honestly don't remember that point, but I do. I acknowledge on this issue.
It's like
on
y'all
those
came
issues,
together. I'm gonna call y'all Dr. Balmar. Y'all came together like
Hey, and
the
according to
Wonder
him,
Twins.
and I qualify as a mixed race African that he would engage because I have not run away from my race. So
Wait,
I think
wait,
you know
but
me
listen.
and Umar.
How about y'all
Dr.
two? Old,
Umar.
how about y'all two
Y'all-
old brothers? How about y'all two old brothers? Why y'all ain't tell me that when the blacks was running around to try to get this Malcolm X story from the white people's hand, Eddie Murphy was about to get it, and he was gonna let Richard Pryor play Malcolm X. Why ain't nobody tell me that happened?
I must have missed that, and that would have. I can't even imagine what that would have.
Skeezers and weirdos.
That I can't even. I mean,
listen.
wow. I don't
No,
even.
man, Richard.
Yeah.
Richard.
Wow.
Richard.
Richard Pryor
crazy.
playing
That
Malcolm
nigga
X.
crazy.
Good Lord. Wow.
Listen, if hey, he was gonna get a hold of it, if Eddie Murphy got a hold of that, if he had a little bit more clout than Spike at the time, then we would have been having a whole nother conversation.
But I like I said, like JT, I think articulated world. All this generations of struggle and bloodshed is just for some small segment of the Negro population to be comfortable, to enjoy all the spoils of imperialism and capitalism. That's what it's all come to. And our whole purpose now is to make sure that small segment, to make sure the struggle is all about making sure Monique get as much money for her comedy special as the white folks get, and to make sure Diddy's vodka gets promoted as aggressively as the white boy vodka. That's what, you know, black struggle has been distilled down to. Because this is what it's capitalism, it's white hegemony. This is what we born into, and we can't hope for nothing more.
According to Bill Cosby, the struggle is that Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, and Mandela prepared him to go to jail. They prepared him for jail. They even warned him that because he fights so hard for civil rights, that's why this is happening to him. Not that he was trying to, you know, steal people's.
I thought I heard about this. Is this true? Is this real? Ethan Hawke playing John Brown? Is that done? I would actually want to see.
Wait, you talking about on Netflix?
I don't know. Is this real?
Oh,
I thought I heard something about this, but you said it came out last year or two?
First, I thought you said Jim Brown.
Oh, wow.
Like, that's appropriate.
Maybe I did. I meant to say John. Did I say Jim? Maybe I did. Oh, okay.
All I know is the black brother from Charleston who joined John Brown. I know they got a movie about him on Netflix. That's all I know.
But
it's done.
You were
It's a
joking
wrap.
about the Cosby joint, right? Cosby didn't say that about Malcolm.
No. Cosby said that Malcolm, Martin, and Mandela prepared him for jail, and they warned him that this would happen. Yeah, Cosby a wild boy. Like Cosby a real wild boy, and he's a wild boy.
And but hey, listen, I have to, like I said, I look at the elites as and I look at the elites as an opportunity to put the finger on the pulse of the masses. Because what all that matters is the black masses. Even though these leading blacks, as Ford would call them, these leading blacks. I'm like, how do black people, how does what they're doing and what they're saying resonate with the black masses, and how do we carry it or respond to it as a community? Because that's really all that ultimately matters. And that's what this shit is all about. You know, when they put these prominent Negroes up and give them their various projects and marching orders, it's about control and directing the rest of us, because we're where the power lies, you know. Not the influence.
Shout out to Ricky Ryan's time capsule. I don't know who else got New York Times and all these things. I don't have it, but them archives, you be seeing some interviews and some articles that I actually love going.
No,
to
the New York Times has it. You can, I mean,
well, you gotta
no,
pay
just
for
Google it. No, you don't
pay for it. You don't?
Nah.
Oh, well,
a lot of the old stuff you come up for free.
Maybe here in the other part of the world, I don't know, because I couldn't find it.
But do we have time to talk about this Chinatown thing real quick? Because I got sent an interesting story that was sent to me, because it dovetails with what I've been trying to argue about, these comparisons between black communities. Yeah, why don't black people do what Jews and Asians have done? So I thought this was interesting, and I'll read through it pretty quickly, but it's anyway, published just this week on the 30th from the Progressive magazine. Though long established by the 1950s and 1960s, Philadelphia's Chinatown, a district just blocks from Independence Hall and predating the nearby Liberty Bell tourist destination, was seen by outsiders as a slum. It was considered an undesirable to live in, explains Deborah Way, who grew up in the neighborhood at that time, exploring local shops and restaurants with her parents. It was known as Skid Row, with lots of bars and a red light district. Chinatowns arose 150 years ago as a response to rampant anti-Chinese violence. As Chinese people fled the Western United States and made their way east, racism followed. They created enclaves of safety, such as one in Philadelphia, in areas of cities considered undesirable, the only places where they were allowed to settle. Now, we can come back to this as much as anybody wants, or if we have time, and I'll put the link in the show description. But the short of what happens since then, and what this article covers in discussing what is happening in Philadelphia and at the Chinatown down my way in DC, is the long and short of it is, rich white developers have come in and through public policy, zoning, the just like what was done in Tulsa with Black Wall Street, the bifurcating of with building a highway, all of this stuff, and then developing new sports stadiums, one for the Philadelphia 76ers, and then comparing it in DC to the one built for the Wizards in downtown DC. Talk about how it's basically driven all of these Chinese communities away. All the Chinese stores have been sent away. The groceries have been sent away. The communities have been sent away. The one thing they did say, as in this case in DC, if you go to the Starbucks or the, what was the other big chain that's down there, they got Chinese writing that you can see on the menu.
Let me tell you this. I got the solution for the Chinese.
Real quick, yeah, I just want to put my last little. The only thing I want to say
save them. Okay.
My point is only that. It's public policy. It's not business acumen. It's not starting businesses and entrepreneurialism that is the problem.
Stop that mess. No.
Okay.
First
go ahead.
of all, the Chinese in Philadelphia need to support Chinese businesses. Secondly, they need to make sure the Chinese dollar bounces in the Chinese community at least 4 times before it exits. Chinese people, they need to stop buying Jordans. They need to stop buying all the high-end and fashionable Chinese products.
Message.
So I'm gonna
go ahead. You know, I'm too ethical to scam my own community, but I might just go be, you know, and I like green tea, so I might just go and scam the Chinese community and tell them about economic literacy and economic liberation. To Chinatown.
Chinese just need to get there.
The Coach's top thought leader.
He got black folks on lock. I'm about to go be a.
No, I'm saying they need to get their own. They can get you to be
the Coach's top thought leader.
Isn't the White Howard? Isn't the White Howard?
They need to bring the Chinese fathers back into the homes. They need to bring the Chinese, and they need to learn to speak standard English.
All that
pull their pants up.
No, CVE, Chinese Vernacular English.
Exactly.
They need to get rid of that.
Them
Get rid of
Chinese
that
need to pull their
CVE.
pants
Get
up.
your CV together. Get rid of
They
the
need
CVE.
to learn to value education.
Yes.
They need.
So you see
STEM.
you see the black guy. The black guy is leading.
STEM. Huh?
There's a black guy leading this charge. He's the he's the spokesperson in the community, and he's leading it. I sent it in the chat.
Yeah,
he's the chief diversity and impact officer at Harris.
He the head nigga in charge.
Sports and entertainment. David Gould. Yeah.
But there's a video that I tried to send that Mama Tori from BAP, she was giving him the business in December.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I think she was reading him, and I think he let me see if I can share it. She was reading him and he just got quiet. And then there was another black lady there. She was like, "Oh no, I don't want to speak now," because she was afraid to speak afterwards. Let me see if I can share it right quick.
So anyway, I just want to reiterate all of this, black people need to be like the Asians. I don't know. So it don't seem to be going so well.
But we're still under the illusion. We still got a lot of black people that are under the illusion. A lot of illusions. And
wait, what was that comment? The Chinese don't need no advice from our community. They got their own damn everything.
Even in the face, even when it's shown that they're just as vulnerable,
they
still hold to these myths.
First of all, what's the title of this?
Maybe you need to send the link to me. I don't know if your internet can handle this. Yichi.
And all these that minority that
I'm not hearing a thing.
Scam.
Yeah.
That model minority scam got a lot of people, all on both sides, all effed up.
I agree. Yep. But yeah, you're right. Even in the face, even as they don't need no advice. They get dragged out.
The Chinese, yeah. I remember Farrakhan going around talking about we need to build black Chinatowns, and how there's a lot of people. Oh, the Chinese did it, and the Chinese thing. I mean, even Dr. Wilson was pushing that fallacy. So,
Geechee, did you send me the link?
Geechee frozen.
There you go.
Geechee took it too far. He had a good show.
Yeah, send it now.
He tried to do something.
Then he tried to do something and messed it all up. I don't know why just stay in your lane. Send it to me.
That hamster wheel powered internet you got.
I try to put a thing. I try to put a thing. Hey, listen, I don't got the money like y'all, brother.
First of all, what's your title with this thing? What's your title?
Chief Diversity and Impact Officer in the 76ers. Chief Diversity and Impact Officer in the 76ers.
All right. Given your title, let's be very clear. The 76ers, the developers, or any.
Oh, that's Asante and Nkrumah Ture. I know that sister's voice.
Right, legal and certainly not moral, to destroy Chinatown. And the joke in DC is there's a Chinatown with no Chinese.
Yep.
Say it again. And actually, let me say to you, as diversity, whatever, and I'm a black person, and I'm a black person old enough to be your mama. I'm embarrassed to be here to see a young black man being the front man for the rich white folks to tear down.
Go ahead, Asante.
Say good.
Yeah.
You and I both know what displacement and people settling in your community and push you out. You and I both know what that means, and we know what it looks like, and we got the scars to prove it.
Yes.
And if you don't believe that, ask your mama and your grandma. Thank you.
Go ahead, Asante. I'm gonna add. We add our own little EYL applause for that right there.
Yeah.
He can hit her with that JT. Thinking. Just hit her with that JT. Listen, this the
you know what he's thinking while she's talking, right?
Hit her with that JT.
You said what?
The only
What'd you say, Jeff?
problem is the only problem with that is that while she's talking, what he's standing up there thinking is, this is what makes my salary go up. These are the people they have hired me for to deal with. This is why I have a job. He's probably back there like, thank you, sister. Get a
He
little
can
more.
tell her this is the system we were born into. This is what
exactly.
it is. And you can't get so bogged down with how unjust the system is where you ain't willing to get out here and make your money.
Make it work for you.
So Jared, for the people who, and Diallo, for the people who say that Chinatown is the response of anti-China violence or anti-Chinese violence that the people of China here organized and built this safe haven, and we should be.
They
more
did
like
everything that Black people have done without the particular, specific, and similar or exact same relationship that Black people have to the society. Everywhere people gather together, they try to protect themselves, they try to provide for one another, and then here come the white folks with various forms of violence and destroy it. So it's not, and that's why, again, this whole thing of they're special and we're not as good as them, and that all of that is some nonsense and promoted mythology. Go ahead.
And that's not gonna, and here's the thing is, not even money's gonna save you from that. You can't buy your way out of oppression. There is a historically affluent Black community in Sag Harbor in Long Island. This beachfront property that's beautiful. I've been out there a few times. And these are Black architects, Black physicians, Black CEOs who went out there, who couldn't buy in the Hamptons, who couldn't buy in the affluent white areas, went over and made a beautiful, I think there's a movie called Peoples. I think it's a comedy movie called Peoples that talk about this wealthy, affluent Black community in Sag Harbor, Long Island. And this like hood dude starts dating this Negro princess who came from an affluent family, and they went out to the Hamptons and went out to Sag Harbor.
This is it. Yeah, this is the one you're talking about, right?
Yes.
Peoples. Yeah, I saw that.
And it gives a brief look into the Black Negro elites. And guess what's happening to those multimillionaire Blacks? Right. Guess what's happening to those affluent, wealthy Negroes in Sag Harbor right now? They're being gentrified.
No.
The whites are coming out there. I was out there one time and this multimillionaire Black person was like, you see, because they have homes that literally where your backyard is the Atlantic Ocean. Like you have this mansion and then you have a small little Black yard and then you have a small 3 steps down, you're on the beach in the Atlantic Ocean. Beautiful property like you never seen. And she was like, well, when I first started coming out here, all these were Black-owned mansions. They were all Black-owned. And that man, he was a Haitian architect. And that man, he was one of the first Black chairmen of the state university system in New York. And they all been priced out and driven out by whites. Now Sag Harbor is all white, and they gentrified wealthy. So it's because it's not about money. And when the Black people were there, and the Black people were trying to do their development, the local government was like having all these restrictions on what you could build, how you could expand your property. And the moment the whites came, all those restrictions were lifted. And white people are out there building structures and expanding like they never allowed the Black people with money. So you think you're going to earn your way out of this and buy your way out of oppression? That's just not how it works. Even wealthy Black neighborhoods are being gentrified.
Let's make the chat fight a little bit. How do you feel? How do you
chat
feel?
Love me. It's a cheering session.
We're gonna make them fight in a minute. How do you feel about solidarity with people in Chinatown, and helping them fight off gentrifiers? How do you feel about that?
Solidarity. Here's the thing about solidarity. Before you can have true solidarity and not servitude, is that there is established before any action is taken, what is the interest, what are the risks, and how will the benefits be distributed? Black people don't engage in solidarity. Oftentimes we engage in servitude. meaning that we get involved in these movements like gay movements, women's movements, Chinatowns, lateral immigration movements, not from a point of solidarity, but from a point of servitude, lending our voice, lending our legitimacy to other people's movement when we have not articulated or determined what will be the risk taken by the parties, what will be the obligation of the parties, and how will any concessions or rewards be distributed after anything is won. So it's not true solidarity, it's Black servitude. When you got Black people out here, Black and brown power, even Black people, because I am in solidarity with the Palestinian struggle. I am in solidarity with but my first thing before they don't call me out, because I come with true solidarity. And a lot of people don't want Black solidarity. They want Black servitude. They want Black people to bring all that we have to the table and put it on the table and not make any demands or stand in place for any concessions. So I don't know enough about that particular unification to know if it's a solidarity movement or if it's a servitude movement. But many of these movements that consist of Black people aligned with non-Black people, it's a servitude movement, not a solidarity movement.
No, I agree. I largely agree. I think, and just from that example, like, sisters like Asante and others, I know, well, I believe, I don't speak for her, but I'm confident enough knowing her as long as I have that she would be there out of principle, not out of naivete or being unaware of what Diallo's talking about. And in other words, to say out of principle, we should be in solidarity with efforts like this, but understanding that solidarity does need to be encouraged to be reciprocated. And to the extent that I think Coco is also right, to the extent that Black people are better organized themselves, they can demand more and be more impactful when that solidarity does occur. So, but yeah, there is, obviously there are all of these histories of tensions, of false use, of exploitation of other people's struggles, it's like the Asian or white version of what Diallo and we were all talking about earlier, that Black people, the Black bourgeoisie do. We're all separate until we need you. And then all of a sudden it's like, we down with the people, we down with the people. And then, as soon as we get ours together, it's like, okay, we'll see you when we see you.
Right. That's why I'm all for solidarity. I oppose servitude. Before anybody come to me here and Black and brown this, Black and brown that, first thing I'm like, what about Latin American racism, Latin American displacement, Latin American genocide? I need to know, am I working with when I'm working with the Latin American community? First thing I want to know is, are you a goddamn conquistador your damn self? So it would be the same question to any type of movement. But like I said, the Chinatown here in Chicago is expanding. Chinatown expansion here is bumping up against white gentrification, and Black folks are caught in the middle without any allies.
Yeah, no question. Netfa, what's up, Netfa?
So Jack, since again, I think all these tie together. Back to the argument. Now, it wasn't an argument, but back to the conversation with the people from home about Mermaid. And then your chapter 3 of the new edition, it made me think about, like, how do we engage entertainer, SAG artists, writers? Because so for instance, I dated a SAG actress who could do a commercial and get paid maybe $3,000 or $5,000 hair and not have a job for the next 6 months. So most of them are in worse conditions than some of the workers that work at Walmart and so. So do you think that is wise, or is there any type of solidarity with them in terms of like worker struggle, when knowing that a lot of them could be, I guess that this is not a phrase, but in income they could be in this class, but in ideology they already committed class treason, or they already identify with the other people? Like, how do you engage, or how do you think about those type of workers, the writers and the actress? And because again, majority of them don't have any money or no resources.
I think you raised a good point. The only union that I know off the top of my head I reject counting as part of the labor movement is the Fraternal Order of Police.
Oh,
So I don't have
NBA Players Union.
So again, I hear you, Diallo, but that's what I'm saying. The only one that I fully reject is the police union. But I hear both of you. I don't fully reject SAG, the NBA, the players unions, but I recognize, because the same thing. On the same level, on a principle level, I support all unions and all labor efforts, even as I recognize within those there's going to be a lot of problematic views, ideologies, et cetera, and so forth. But I would at a principle support poor white racist workers organizing their unionized whatever, even as I know that they're not on my team. So I get that, but so that's my starting point. There's only the one union that I can think off the top that I reject out of hand as part of that struggle. But I hear you.
And Diallo, are you trying to say that military repression from the police is similar to entertainment?
The NBA's repression?
Well, yeah. I guess in a way it's repressive.
It is. I'm not mad at that.
Are you comparing the violent physical
the police
with
the police
with the fun, loving, emotional connection, entertaining form of? Are you just?
Yes, I am. The police work on behalf of the elites. So the NBA union is a union of moneyed elites, and the police exist to maintain that wall, that barrier, the thin blue line. The thin blue line is the people who steal the wealth from the masses being separate from the masses whom they stole the wealth from. So the NBA union the police union wouldn't exist without the NBA union, without the other elites who fund and set up the very legitimacy and fund and equip the police. So yeah, it's all connected. Michael Jordan, it was weird when the dude was talking about Michael. Let me not go back to JT. I think I'm just mad he tried to take my spot. I don't even care about what he said.
But again, no. So real quick, I understand that, right? Entertainers do work on behalf of the rich. But are we also saying that Walmart workers are not working on behalf of the rich?
Well, that's what I was going to say. Walmart workers do too.
So that's why
we all do. I do.
I mean, one got a more celebrated job. Like you might want to be an actor more or actress more than you want to be. Self-checkout is taking jobs, but still, I don't know. Like I don't know that.
To me, I would respect the NBA players the NBA industry. The wealth of the NBA industry should be equally distributed amongst the vendors, the people selling the popcorn, the people who strip and bluff the floors, the people who manufacture them ugly ass shoes, the people who manufacture the balls and the Wilson working in the Wilson factories who extract the resources. If that shit was evenly distributed, the NBA players would make a handsome middle class income, and the wealth would be better distributed amongst the working classes in the U.S. and abroad.
But what if we started?
I would support the NBA union, but since the NBA union doesn't include the primary essential workers who make it possible for these elite athletes to chase balls and focus all their efforts and energy.
Right, I agree with that, but I would want to start with. I don't want to start with the NBA. I don't want to start with the player salaries. I want to get rid of ownership, executives, and commissioners. Let's get rid of their salaries first and redistribute those, and then see to what extent we need to draw down on the player salaries, which I'm sure do need to be drawn. I don't have, but just in general, if we start with, I don't know what Silver makes at the NBA, but Goodell making $40 million a year or whatever it is in the NFL. Let's just like start that. Get rid of him. Get rid of all the owners. Get rid of and then start that process of redistribution. And then I'm with you. But I I just have a visceral reaction to starting with the players' salaries first.
Well, it's just, we just talking about the players because they who's up front. Ain't nobody wearing no Goodell sneakers, Goodell ties and sport coats. So I mean, yeah, of course I agree with what you're saying. It's just we start with the players because that's what gets the people's attention. You sit there and say Goodell, people just stare. You say Jordan and their ears perk up. And he ain't played in 20 years, and people still debating Jordan's ass. Nobody debates who's the greatest NBA commissioner. So if you're talking to the people, you kind of have to enter. That's
I used to be in the barbershop all the time.
But with
and y'all talk about and y'all debate who was the better commissioner,
better
administrator.
And I couldn't even think of two names to make a joke, Diallo.
Right.
I couldn't even think of two names to come up with a damn joke off the top.
Yeah, the owner shouldn't exist. The owner should not exist.
But
the NBA
Diallo,
players,
maybe you should join the argument on who's better between Jordan and LeBron, because you can say, hey, if there was a Craig Hodges of today that asked LeBron to do what Hodges asked Jordan to do, would LeBron do it or would he not do it?
But Jordan, you can't throw up bricks on the side of the backboard in the NBA Finals and be called a GOAT. I don't give a damn. So that for me ends it right there. I don't care about nothing else. I saw that. I saw those highlights, and that was that's all I saw from the whole NBA season was 2 shots LeBron took at the end of the in the fourth quarter.
LeBron lost the Super Bowl.
He lost the World Series.
The World Cup. He lost the World Cup.
LeBron missed a crucial field goal.
He got swept by a squeegee boy in Baltimore.
Oh, because I don't know what. I thought LeBron at the most home runs in NHL history, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Close to Barry Bonds and Black China.
And look, it shakes me to my core how relevant people think this shit is, man.
This shit is super important, man. It's
weird because when I was in New York, I remember when I got my first job out of school, and I was working with a bunch of Guyanese cats, and shit started shutting down. And man, like I said, the salt of the earth. These brothers worked hard. I was able to slack. I was able to, just live out the Black American stereotype, just not being willing to work hard and just get by. Because these immigrant brothers from Guyana would just grind and work their asses off. And it all reversed. I found myself doing all the work, and they were just fixated to their little radios and these little TVs, and it was a cricket match. Fucking cricket.
Cricket is horrible. That's colonization at its finest right there.
But here's the thing. They loved cricket like brothers here be on basketball. So I'm like, are you really into these sports because you're into these sports? Because you got brothers of soccer. Football. The way people are about football, like this shit ain't got nothing to do with your personal interest. It's people are indoctrinated into this shit like religion.
Everything is super important. Everything that happens on the field impacts my life. But I do just want to just quickly shout out to Guyana.
Shout out to Guyana, but cricket, brothers, really? Even football, that's weird enough. But how brothers get fixated? They in there bumping chest.
That's because you never played cricket before. You ain't never played cricket. You don't know how to play.
You've played cricket.
I'm just saying you ain't.
Stop.
I'm just saying you ain't never.
Wait, like the game.
Wait. Time out. You the one that got called a Bucks life. Don't try to bring me into your cricket.
Yeah, and then y'all laughing when y'all supposed to have my back.
It is funny.
That's right. That's you asked me about solidarity. You the one that needs to learn about solidarity.
Listen. I know it might be too soon because somebody
your sperm.
Somebody. Your sperm. Here you go. Somebody already told me it was too soon, so I took the post down. But have y'all even looked into the DC Young Fly? That's his name.
Mm-hmm. What happened with him?
His makeover.
Yeah, his child's mother passed away trying to do a body procedure, mommy makeover in Miami.
Oh damn, I didn't know that. I am sorry to hear that, as much as whatever I think about that whole decision making, but that whole industry, but I am sorry to hear that. I don't wish that on. I'm sorry. I didn't hear that. I didn't know about that though.
My business.
We're
not gonna let Diallo. But I was just curious if it's probably too early to talk about it. But
Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. I'm still on my Dale Carnegie. Wow. I know when to shut up.
So just real quick, we want to thank a few folks for not being quiet. Welcome, Patrick Leslie. Thank you very much. ZZ Lion Dad comes through again heavy. Instead of
That
buying
dude
Jordans
is
or listening to
financial-
J
that-
Key
he's
Pocket
financial
Watches,
literate.
Dad. I support BPM, respect Dr. Balgeechi Diallo, love BPM, EYL.
He's like a
remixes,
black
Trolling
George
Tweets, let
Soros.
Diallo
Listen,
speak.
I think
Wow.
listen, we need to bring
Let
ZZ
ZZ
on.
cook.
We need to bring him on and let him do the financial literacy.
Hey, basically, this is his channel at this point. So ZZ,
Yeah, he's like a black George Soros.
He
He's
back
controlling
again
us.
whenever he want to come through. Just more African liberation, critical radical analysis.
Jared,
JT
Jared,
is need for the people watching for the first time. Make that distinction is needed at times. Thank you very much, ZZ.
Jared,
Appreciate
do you think we could pit Leah against ZZ like Spike Lee did Jordan and Magic?
I would, yeah, I think we should. And just
Yeah, I
again,
think
just
we
real
should.
quick, we
The ball signal has gone up.
I think
absolutely, yeah.
I
Oh,
think
we
we
already
need to
got
stop-
that.
Yeah.
Jigen, Diallo is suggesting to tell a pastor to fire his Bible after inviting him on your platform. And what about the red Christians? Are you going
Hey,
to engage them? This
why
I think
did-
it's a reference to JT.
I be
Thank you for the
popping in.
super
I be
chat.
popping in on the morning show every now and then. But why did Kamal sound like Umar the other day? When somebody gave some money, he was like, "Oh, that's fine, but that ain't enough. Next time, give more."
That's Kamal's job. He's the fundraiser for the chat for the channel. He's the he's that's what community organizers can, you know. Charm
Umar-
City, shout out to Charm City. I appreciate all of your analysis because it better helps me understand what we are dealing with. We appreciate you. Thank you very much for that. Nelson Mercer, obligatory forget it's Chinatown joke. Forget it, it's Chinatown joke. Go ahead.
No, I was about to say, since we talking about
Chinatown.
Charm City,
Town.
Charm City, damn, I'm about to forget the name, but when we was in Baltimore, go ahead, because
just ZZ. Thanks again. Workers are workers, not on the money you make. Teaching point of the union struggle is key. A union that promote the whole industry is a good union. Diallo sports analogy. Shake my head. And Camille, welcome to you as well as a channel member. Thank you very much. All right, my bad, Geechee. Go ahead, man.
Go ahead, Diallo. You can respond.
No, I don't want to take ball chasing away from people. I just want it to be in its proper place. You know, that's why I'm like any good white man, any good white racist. I ain't against nobody. I just want everybody to be in their proper place. That's how I feel. I just think that this $1 billion, that is no way that ball chasing should be a multi-billion-dollar industry. It's literally bread and circuses. There's so much stuff that is more worthy of our time and effort. It is hyper exploitation and hyper class disruption because we too often get attached to these characters who we shouldn't even be down with.
So, but theoretically, so I get it, but for me, it's more of a question of what happens with the wealth produced. So again, theoretically, I don't have a problem with sports.
Wealth ain't produced; it's expropriated. It's a difference. But let's go.
Okay, so the wealth generated from the process of sport and our fandom of sport, if we lived in a different kind of society, I would not necessarily have a problem with that. That if that wealth were actually used to eradicate all of the inequality and suffering and was not, you know, then I think our love affair of it would not necessarily be such a bad thing. And then maybe again, it wouldn't be promoted to become such a big thing were we in a different society. So I think that's part of it as well. But
how do you but the wealth and prominence of sports is a direct byproduct of the exploitation and inequality. So how would you use it to eradicate something that it's born out of?
No. So for instance, because again, I'm reading this socialist reconstruction book from the Party for Socialism and Liberation, right? And they're advocating practical sort of steps that could be taken to bring socialism into effect in real time in our lifetime. So when I think of that process, I think of, so to your point, were we to have some sort of shift in political power, starting from where we are today, one of the initial steps could be just what I said initially: get rid of owners, get rid of commissioners, take the wealth already being generated and redistribute it. From there, once society starts to change, once the material conditions change, once the extractive relationships start to change, that was the point I was getting at just a minute ago. Then maybe the interest in sports would change. The relationship of sport to society would change. If people are not committing themselves to become good at a sport because they think it's the only way out of an oppressive condition, maybe we have an entire societal shift and sport becomes less important. That's sort of the point I'm getting at. To your point, Diallo, you are right. In the context we are today, the popularity of sport, the font, the original product of sport is a colonial, hostile, exploitative relationship. So it's going to follow that cycle. I'm just simply saying, if we just start with that redistribution, given the wealth is created now, it might change that. And then to your point, it may be, in fact, we don't have in X amount of years the same love affair for the sport. It wouldn't have the same level of importance, and society would start projecting or moving its interest into other areas. Or maybe sports becomes just as much, if Ricky is correct and there's no contradiction between our love of sports and revolution, then maybe sport becomes has a different role in society. It becomes something else in a new revolutionized or revolutionary context.
So I want to switch topics real quick, if everybody in the chat, please comment where you're watching from, what state or city you're watching from. Because when I was in Baltimore, I didn't know there was so many people watching from Baltimore. Me and Jared talked a little bit about the demographics.
Unless you got warrants or something.
Or unless you got warrants, because Diallo worked in Chicago and he worked with the police. But
yeah, okay. I'm not the one asking people to reveal themselves. I'm
just trying to see where people at, where they watch.
Exactly. Anyway, for what?
Because I want to know where.
Because you want to take a list. Listen, hey,
man, I ain't got time for all this shit, man. I'm about to give a shout out to my brother at the Greenhouse Juice Bar in Baltimore. Because we had him when I was there in Baltimore. We was about to go to Terra Cafe, a black-owned restaurant in Black Wall Street. Not the tree line streets. And all they had was vegan greens, and I wanted something else. So when I went in there, he opened the kitchen after he closed. He fixed me some vegan food, but he also said shout out to the show. I didn't know he was watching the show. So there's so many people watching the show, and I don't know where people from, so I just wanted to see where people are from. We got Mount Vernon.
Look, you looking hard.
Jersey, Alaska. Alaska. See what I mean? I didn't know. I want to know, because when you go into these cities and people... And people pop up and like, hey, what's up? You be like, oh shit, you ain't know they was watching. Anyway, Northern California.
Yeah, well, I'll be in Atlanta in a couple of weeks.
Well, ain't no Atlanta people pop up yet, so
I know that's weird. It's too much money. People, that's Wakanda. People ain't got problems. People, they already free in Atlanta. Why would you watch Earn Your Liberation in Atlanta when they already liberated down there?
We got Indiana in the building, Florida. We got London in the building. Yo,
where's Kansas City?
Ain't nobody.
Kansas City.
Hey, but so when we was in Black Wall Street, some of the comrades was like, "Oh, where's that Black Wall Street?" I was like, "We were there," and they was like, "Oh, that's it." It was like, so when you go to St. Paul and 25th and you go down there, that's all supposedly like 120 black businesses. But Baltimore's Black Wall Street. There's a couple people there in Iraq.
Businesses. Okay, we got Atlanta.
We got one ATL. Yeah.
So Diallo, when are you going to be in Atlanta? You're going to be there. Are you going to be there 20th? At the end of this month? You're going to be 20th. There for the 23rd and 25th for the organizing conference.
Let's see. I think so.
Because so
everybody gonna be there.
So then we can. Are you going to be down there,
Geechee? 20th and the 24th.
I'm thinking about making that trip. So if Diallo come, I'm definitely making a trip. And we can.
If you don't show up, then me and Diallo gonna be looking for your replacement.
Well, that ain't gonna happen. The chat ride for me too hard. I'm sorry.
But that's the rule.
No, the free teaching movement has fallen off.
But the chat ride for me too hard, yo.
No,
I just feel like if any two of us get together, the third is in trouble. Whoever's not there is in trouble.
What kind of Bible verse you talk about? If two of us are in agreement.
I'm just saying, wherever two of the third is in trouble.
I ain't never seen so many.
He's in Atlanta, where all that black bourgeoisie is.
My got all the money from Atlanta. I'll be there. Yeah,
my brother in Atlanta, my cousin in Atlanta. Yeah, I'm in Atlanta. We in there. We in there heavy. Let's go.
I'll definitely be in it. I think I'm flying in on the 20th. I just made the reservations, man. I can't think past tomorrow. You know, that's why I'm not rich. I don't have the discipline.
Are you coming to the conference, Diallo, or are you just going to be in Atlanta?
I'm going to go to the conference. I have to go. Let me see.
I mean, to be honest with you,
I can't afford it. I don't have the discipline.
I really think that your boy Diallo is not flying in Maynard Jackson's airport. I think he's going to the private airport. Word on the street.
Where the little planes land.
That's what I thought. So
Where they drive the car right up next to the plane.
He was in that last shot of Succession, just off camera.
Yeah, I'm gonna be like Bow Wow. Me and Bow Wow are gonna be on the same charter flight.
Diallo,
where the Mercedes gonna pull up.
Diallo, they saying you too good for us. You ain't even trying to hang with us.
No, no. I'm not too good for them. They don't tell me. They be having secret get-togethers.
You said you don't want to be part of
get-together. Shoot, no, I don't. That's why I'm too real.
Either you want to be a part of Illuminati or not, Diallo. You can't play both sides.
I'm too real. That's the problem. I'm too real.
Oh man. All right, good people. Anything else we got to get to? Any announcements? Anything?
Nah, man.
I think we
go get Jared Book and start.
The Bro Diallo show should be back Monday. I've been gone for like 3 weeks from the Bro.
Yeah, I was about to say, where you at? Monday's been easy. No competition on our morning show. Okay.
I've been trying to align my chakras. I've been trying to balance my humors. I've been on a path to healing and renewal.
Okay.
You know,
right on.
Detoxification. Because we got accused of supporting the
oh boy,
medical establishment.
Oh right,
using Western white man medicine.
Yeah.
So I decided to stop using the white man's medicine, and now it's taken me longer to recover. But I'm more better than everybody else now. I'm superior.
Hey, thank you, Renee. I appreciate you. And so I will say this, by the way, I appreciate you, Renee. And if folks haven't gotten theirs yet, and if you're not in a hurry, or if you have a particular financial difficulty, hold on and stay tuned, because there will be, yes, Curtis, the book is now out. So I don't know exactly when or how it's going to work, but there will be some maybe prizes and free book giveaways. Maybe we'll come up with some. There's going to be some opportunities. And I do know that when I announce, I'm hoping it's going to be on the 21st. If anybody can be up this way, when I do announce the book launch gathering, there will be free giveaways there as well. So
come for that.
Yeah.
What?
Hey,
no, yeah. I don't have a book tour. I don't have publisher support like that. But
you can do your own book tour.
Right, man. What is it? See, you've been out the hood for too long. You should be hustling books out your trunk.
I did my own book tour. I only could have made 3 cities though, but that's all right.
That corner. Back up in the alley with a trench coat, like I got that.
So that's my book tour: Baltimore, Columbia, Maryland, and DC.
That's all I could have done. All I did was Baltimore and Charleston and another Charlotte. That's it. That's all I.
We should do a BPM tour. We should get like I don't know exactly what that would mean, or
yeah, we gotta travel. Well, somebody already.
I hear you, Coco. If you can hold on, if you're not in a hurry,
Coco needs to stop buying Jordans.
That's what it is, Coco. Stop buying Jordans. Stop buying rims. She needs
the discipline and pragmatism.
Out there getting your nails done all the time.
I'm sick of being broke too.
You should go guru it up. Go tell the Chinese. The Chinese are looking for you.
I got the kufi and I got the RBG head wrap.
No, but somebody.
The last time I was on C-SPAN, somebody was talking about kill all white people. So I don't know if I'm gonna be allowed back on.
I remember that. He said it's time, as if we were holding back. He said, "I think the time has come." As if we were holding back from killing all white people and we were waiting for the green light. I think the time has come.
Hey, so
now? Okay. I was waiting for the call. Let's get on that.
We do gotta
Oh,
invite to do,
man.
we gotta invite to do a live show in Baltimore. So
when? Let's go.
So Sister Offset has, and her husband, both of them are actually DJs and producers. And they
have a
podcast studio.
We should go christen it. I'm down for doing that.
That's what I'm telling you. They already got an open
Lateef.
invitation. They say that they building it for people like us. So whenever y'all ready,
we
can
go
do
there and bless it and do a
live show there
in person. Yeah, I'm down to do that. But I think I owe them some money, so I'm gonna have to duck and slide until I get that debt taken care of, and then we could do it.
What I do to Red Emmas? I think I
owe the Offset family some money.
You told me you don't like Red Emmas. You told me.
When did I say I don't like Red Emmas? Red Emmas just never invites me to anything. I've never been.
Never mind. You told me something else. Never mind.
I didn't say anything about Red Emmas.
No, I know it was. Never mind. But yeah, it was.
What I said couldn't be said on air. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, put it in the chat. Maybe I feel like saying it now.
No. No. Well, yeah, Red Emmas and Bus.
Have a good weekend. Peace.
Red Emmas and Bus Boys. We're gonna get you on the list. We're gonna put you on the
do that.
See, I told you. Emma said I did. Well, that's Black Emma's. Black Emma said I never.
Oh, Red Emma.
I don't know, Emma. Just all Emmas. I'm a no-go for all Emmas. Apparently, damn.
If
bad.
Red Emmas can invite a book about black communists, they're gonna get you too, Jared. Don't worry about it.
There we go. Three wise men back on the road. There you go. I thought you said black men. I was gonna bring out my 2.5 men, 2.5 brothers joke again. But okay, here we go.
Hey, Wise to the Dome.
Wise the Dome TV. Thank you.
And he has a good
channel. Was we supposed to do
an
interview? We supposed to do a collective interview with him at some point.
Oh, really?
I've been on there a couple of times.
Yeah.
I'm down. Well, I'm down.
But I don't get invited back, man. People invite me out. That's my goal, to never get invited to the same place twice.
You done mess it up for all of them.
I'm doing pretty good. But yeah, I do. That's my goal.
That is true. I've never been invited anywhere that Diallo has already been. So I don't know what that means. I think that says
like I said, I broke out my old copy, How to Win Friends and Influence People.
That shit ain't working. Around. You ain't working. It's too late. You're not burnt too many.
It's a process. It's not an event. I'm working on myself. Like I said, I'm aligning chakras.
All right.
Trying to delude myself into belief in higher powers.
Give us a what do you call them? Download. Give us a download that you learned today that you want to impart on the people, the wisdom of your throat chakra.
Give folks time to bury dead celebrities before you start making comments and critiques of dead celebrities.
First of all, I ain't made no comment or the critique. But I was asking a question that I ain't asked yet. But
I didn't say you feel guilty. I didn't say your name. I'm still getting heat for Tina Turner. You know, I had this image of Tina Turner in whiteface eating watermelon, and I was going to bring that up here to further antagonize people that have been harassing me about me just repeating what Tina Turner said and highlighting events from her life. People mad at me instead of being mad at her for doing what she did. People mad at me for calling up for what she did. But I'm like, I didn't bring that image up here. I didn't bring it. I decided, hey. So I know when celebrities pass, you got to give it a lot of time before you can speak on them. No, nobody's mad at me about Jim Brown. They let me slide on what I said about Jim Brown. But people mad as hell that I just said, hey, this is who Tina Turner was and this is her legacy. You know, what do you want from me?
Anyway. All right, good people. Diallo, Geechee, thank you very much. It's always a pleasure. To the remixers, thanks for coming through from wherever you are in the world. Thanks for the check-in. Peace if you're willing to fight for it, like Fred Hampton used to say. We'll catch you next time right here on EYL, Earn Your Liberation, and throughout the BPM platform. Please make sure you like, share, subscribe, do all the different things that you know you could do to support the channel. Make sure the bell is rung so you don't miss any of the updates as they continue to come through. And yeah, appreciate you.
All
Catch
right.
you next time.
Next
All right,
Friday.
everybody. Peace.
You got to earn your liberation.